On what's now 17 acres of land in Bedford County sits a structure with so much history to tell, a slave dwelling made of wood that's still standing shy of 200 years.
It's a double pen style dwelling. One part of it was built in the 18-teens, and then the second part was actually built in the 1830s. Most slave structures are no longer standing or surviving in the state just due to the nature of their construction. They weren't meant to be long-standing buildings or to last lifetimes or multiple generations. They're meant to be ephemeral, to be moved, to leave very little impact on the ground.
The owners of the former plantation known as Ivy Cliff, Sophie and Mike Taylor, didn't want to be on camera, but say they bought the land in 2021. After learning about the slave dwelling behind their house, they began work to preserve the structure. And in 2022, it made Preservation Virginia's most endangered historic places list.
Fewer than 100 that are left, and if you think about, there were tens, if not hundreds of thousands of these structures built. They're just the few last vestiges, physical built vestiges of slavery in Virginia, so it's very important.
Randy Lichtenberger and Jessica Gansert are archaeologists in the Lynchburg area.
This was the main living, cooking area for the family that would have lived in here.
After conducting excavation work on the land, it's believed 4 slave dwellings were once standing side by side. Up to 12 slaves could have lived in each dwelling at a time.
Slave dwellings, most of the time, were actually built by the enslaved people that would have gone on to live in there. So they would have been sent to build them wherever their work was.
Inside the structure, architectural remains have been found that include symbols of African religion.
Most of the people that were brought over from Africa were of 3 ethnic groups: Yoruba, Igbo, or Conga. All 3 shared a similar belief in the god of ironworking. And so having iron nails that are hand wrought, and especially in the pattern of 3 with X's and 3 rows of X's, that really is a powerful symbol of hoodoo to keep away bad spirits and people who wish harm on those who are living inside.
Walking through the dwelling, Jessica points out a valuable treasure uncovered beneath the dust.
What we can see here that has survived in our hearth is the name James, with a backwards J. So that shows us that somebody who was living here not only knew how to spell, but they could write, and they wrote their own name here. This is really significant. So this gives us the name of somebody that was living in here.
I think we're in a period of time now where there's this interest in erasing history. I think being able to research Ivy Cliff gives us an opportunity to learn about a fuller history.
The Taylors have a goal of opening the dwelling to the public for educational purposes. They continue to apply for funding that will allow the team to dig up the past.
And we wanted to do an excavation to find a potential subfloor pit. A subfloor pit is similar to a root cellar. It's a pit for storage underneath the floor, and it was used by enslaved individuals to keep personal artifacts, personal items. So if we get that grant in, we'll be able to crawl underneath these floorboards here and find something that'll tell us even more about the daily life of the enslaved people that lived here.
Their untold stories are now being given a voice.
Ivy Cliff will not be forgotten.
In Bedford County, Tanisha Jackson, WDBJ 7.